to some of the most pressing issues facing our country right now, some of the biggest issues right now in the headlines today. We're going to start with the guns. The shooting in Oregon earlier this month. Once again, it brought the issue of guns into the national conversation. Over the last week, guns have been the most discussed political topic on Facebook by 2 to 1. Senator Sanders, you voted against the Brady bill and mandated background checks and a waiting period. You also supported allowing riders to bring guns in checked bags on Amtrak trains. For a decade, you said that holding gun manufacturers legally responsible for mass shootings is a bad idea. Now you say you're reconsidering that. Which is it? Shield the gun companies from lawsuits or not?
Let's begin, Anderson, by understanding that Bernie Sanders has a D- voting record from the NRA. Let's also understand that back in 1988, when I first ran for the United States Congress, way back then, I told the gun owners of the state of Vermont, and I told the people of the state of Vermont, a state which has virtually no gun control, that I supported a ban on assault weapons. And over the years, I have strongly supported instant background checks, doing away with this terrible gun show loophole, and I think we've got to move aggressively at the federal level in dealing with the straw man purchases. Also, I believe, and I've fought for, to understand that there are thousands of people in this country today who are suicidal, who are homicidal, but can't get the health care that they need, the mental health care, because they don't have insurance or they're too poor. I believe that everybody in this country has a mental crisis, has got to get mental health counseling immediately.
Do you want to shield gun companies from lawsuits or not?
Of course not. This was a large and complicated bill. There were provisions in it that I think made sense. For example, do I think that a gun shop in the state of Vermont that sells legally a gun to somebody, and that somebody goes out and does something crazy, that gun shop owner should be held responsible? I don't. On the other hand, where you have manufacturers and where you have gun shops knowingly giving guns to criminals or aiding and abetting that, of course we should take action.
Secretary Clinton, is Bernie Sanders tough enough on guns?
No, not at all. I think that we have to look at the fact that we lose 90 people a day from gun violence. This has gone on too long, and it's time the entire country stood up against the NRA. The majority of our country supports background checks, and even the majority of gun owners do. Senator Sanders did vote 5 times against the Brady bill. Since it was passed, more than 2 million prohibited purchases have been prevented. He also did vote, as he said, for this immunity provision. I voted against it. I was in the Senate at the same time. It wasn't that complicated to me. It was pretty straightforward to me that he was going to give immunity to the only industry in America. Everybody else has to be accountable, but not the gun manufacturers. And we need to stand up and say enough of that. We're not going to let it continue.
We're going to bring you all in on this, but Senator Sanders, you have to be able to respond.
As a senator from a rural state, what I can tell Secretary Clinton, that all the shouting in the world is not going to do what I would hope all of us want, and that is keep guns out of the hands of people who should not have those guns and end this horrible violence that we are seeing. I believe that there is a consensus in this country, a consensus that said we need to strengthen and expand instant background checks, do away with this gun show loophole, that we have to address the issue of mental health, that we have to deal with the straw man purchasing issue, and that when we develop that consensus, we can finally do something to address this.
Governor O'Malley, you passed gun legislation as governor of Maryland, but you had a Democratic-controlled legislature. President Obama couldn't convince Congress to pass gun legislation after the massacres in Aurora, in Newtown, and Charleston. How can you?
And Anderson, I also had to overcome a lot of opposition in the leadership of my own party to get this done. Look, it's fine to talk about all of these things, and I'm glad we're talking about these things, but I've actually done them. We passed comprehensive gun safety legislation, not by looking at the pollings or looking at what the polls said. We actually did it. And Anderson, here tonight in our audience are 2 people that make this issue very, very real. Sandy and Lonnie Phillips are here from Colorado. And their daughter, Jessie, was one of those who lost their lives in that awful mass shooting in Aurora. Now, to try to transform their grief, they went to court, where sometimes progress does happen when you file in court. But in this case, you want to talk about a rigged game, Senator? The game was rigged. a man had sold 4,000 rounds of military ammunition to this person that killed their daughter, riddled her body with 5 bullets, and he didn't even ask where it was going. And not only did their case get thrown out of court, they were slapped with $200,000 in court fees because of the way that the NRA gets its way in our Congress, and we take a back seat. It's time to stand up and pass comprehensive gun safety legislation as a nation.
Senator Sanders, I want you to be able to respond. 30 seconds.
I think the governor gave a very good example about the weaknesses in that law, and I think we have to take another look at it. But here is the point, Governor. We can raise our voices, but I come from a rural state, and the views on gun control in rural states are different than in urban states, whether we like it or not. Our job is to bring people together around strong, common sense gun legislation. I think there is a vast majority in this country who want to do the right thing, and I intend to lead the country in bringing our people together on that issue.
Senator, it was not about rural. Senator, it was not about rural and urban.
Exactly about
Have you ever been to the East Shore?
I don't think this is the most conservative.
Have you ever been to Western Maryland?
Yeah.
We were able to pass this and still respect the hunting traditions of people who live in our rural areas. And we did it, Anderson, by leading with principle, not by pandering to the NRA and backing down to the NRA.
Voting record,
and I have been asked
that those are fairly rural areas.
But you have not been in the United States Congress.
Well, maybe
and when
that's
you
a
want to
healthy
check
thing.
it out,
take
and if you think that we can simply go forward and pass something tomorrow without bringing people together, you are surely
Let me bring
mistaken.
in somebody who has a different viewpoint. Senator Webb, your rating from the NRA, you once had an A rating from the NRA. You said gun violence goes down when more people are allowed to carry guns. Would encouraging more people to be armed be part of your response to a mass shooting?
Look, there
I like how
are two
Anderson talks
fundamental
over
issues
the last
that are
sentence Bernie
involved in
Sanders
this
has all the
discussion,
time.
and we need
He's
to
just
pay
about to
respect
make his
both
point,
of
and
them.
Anderson can't wait
The
2
first is
fucking
the issue
seconds.
of who should be
Talks
kept
all the time about a revolution,
from
but
having
on
guns,
guns.
and using firearms.
Maybe not a
And
revolution.
we have done not a good job on that. A lot of them are criminals, and a lot of the people who are getting killed are members of gangs inside our urban areas, and a lot of them are mentally incapacitated. And the shooting in Virginia Tech
Let me tell you something.
in
I got 3 guns on me
07,
right
this
now.
individual had received
Stuck in past security.
I got one in my boot.
For
I have a
mental
tie
illness
gun on.
from
One for
3
here, and I
different
got another one in
professionals
my
who were
boot.
not allowed to share the information.
I have a boot
we
gun.
do need background
boot guns.
checks.
My gun is a
We need
boot.
to keep the
I
people
have an
who
extra
should
boot
not
gun in case somebody
have guns
fires
away
my
from
boot
them.
gun.
But we have to respect
right.
the tradition in this country
My
of
gun's a
people who
boot,
want
and my boot's
to
a gun.
defend themselves and their family from violence. There are people are going back and forth here for 10 minutes here. There are people at high levels in this government who have
Fuck the tradition.
bodyguards,
Who gives a
24
shit about
hours a
that
day,
tradition?
7 days a week. The
Respect
average
the
American
tradition.
does not
Traditions
have
are
that and
stupid.
deserves the right to be able to protect their family.
Senator Governor Chafee, you have an F rating from the NRA. What do you think about what Senator Webb just said?
Yes, I have a good record of voting for common sense gun safety legislation, but the reality is, despite these tragedies that happen time and time again, when legislators step up to pass common sense gun safety legislation, the gun lobby moves in and tells the people they're coming to take away your guns. And they're successful at it. In Colorado and other states, the legislators that vote for common sense gun safety measures then get defeated. I even saw it in Rhode Island. So I would bring the gun lobby in and say, we've got to change this. Where can we find common ground? Wayne LaPierre from the NRA, whoever it is, the leaders. Come on, we've got to change this. We're not coming to take away your guns. We believe in the Second Amendment, but let's find common ground here.
Anderson, when the NRA wrote to everyone in our state, when the NRA wrote to the members in our state and told people with hunting traditions lies about what our comprehensive gun safety legislation is, I wrote right back to them and laid out what it actually did. And that's why not only did we pass it, but the NRA didn't dare to petition it to referendum because we built a public